People are good at learning. Children are very good at learning. The first thing we learn is who we are. Little hatchlings know how to eat, but not much else. Most of what babies learn, they learn from watching their parents. Children learn who they are from their parents. Owls beget owls. Penguins beget penguins. Parents should understand, if you want your children to grow up to be owls, then do your best to be an owl. So, hello, and welcome. We are Wild Art Fly Free and we are all about creativity. This is our project where we are building a fantasy world out of stories. So okay. Building a fantasy world is a seriously big job. And, because we always start in chaos, we are never sure where we are going, and we definitely don't know how we might get there. But, that is the point, isn't it? We are dedicated to finding a place that no mind has ever been before, so if we have no idea how to get there, then at least we know that we are going in the right direction. So then. That's our plan. We fill our world with chaos and then we use the chaos as the building blocks for our world. At the same time, we are learning about making YouTube videos and even how to build a YouTube community. Okay, well, thank you for your interest, and if you think you might enjoy building stories into a fantasy world, please feel free to contribute.
Okay then. Let's make a new person. And, as we are all about creativity, we will start by adding some random chaos. I want to thank Turtle for letting me use one of his D20 dice. And also thanks to Owl who helped me make some lists. Okay. So, we need to make it clear that, the lists we made and the odds that we set for the likelihoods are not set in stone. In fact, we would very much like to hear what you think about what makes a person and what are the chances. Anyway, our first random choice will be what race of person do we have. We have a 3 of 20 chance of being a human, elf, dwarf, gnome, halfling, or goblin. Then we set a 1 in 20 chance of being a kobold or a troll. Have we left any kinds of people out? Tell us where we went wrong so we can do better in the future. Now, we roll our D20 and a 17 gives us a goblin. Well, that's cool. We are learning to like goblins quite a bit. Anyway, our next choice is very basic. Do we have a boy goblin or a girl goblin? This is a 50-50 chance. And rolling our D20 we get a 17. Congratulations! It's a boy. Okay. Maybe not a boy goblin. Maybe we have a grown-up goblin. We can roll our D20 now to get a rough age. Well, we haven't set how old goblins get to be yet. How old do you think goblins get to? Anyway, We rolled a 10 on our d20, so that's just about the middle of our goblin man's life. Let's say, in his 30s. I mean, the rough equivalent to how old he would be if he was human. Or, well, whatever you think of for a 30-year-old human man. Our guy will be the goblin equivalent. Okay then. Anyway. Now we have a list of personality traits. There is a 1 in 20 chance for being most of these types of people. But, notice at the bottom we have a 2 in 20 or as, Owl tells me, 1 in 10 chance. Anyway. People are complicated, so. Let's roll 3 times. We can have different personality types in the same goblin. The first roll will be mostly. A 12 means our adult goblin is mostly alpha. Our second roll will be somewhat. 13 means somewhat chaotic. And our last roll. 14 for partly intuitive. Now we will give our new guy a name. We will call him Earliker. Well then. Since our guy is a goblin in his 30s, we should think about what he might do for a living. What sort of skills does he have? Maybe we should choose a major skill and a minor. Well, now. A 19 makes him a villain. Given his personality traits, that's interesting. Okay. Let's roll again for his lesser skills. A 15. Our guy is in healthcare. Well, sadly, it's not unusual to find crooks who claim to heal people. Okay. Then. Meet Earliker, who is a goblin nurse in his 30s. Earliker is kind of bossy. That's what alpha means. So, he is bossy, but also chaotic and a little bit intuitive in his decision-making. Do you know anyone like that? I mean, not a goblin, but, anyway. You know what I mean. And, well, that's enough for now. We have a guy who we can drop into one of our stories later. In the meantime, we would love to hear any other suggestions for Earliker. Just, how is he going to make a living as a healthcare worker and a villain? Does he work in the goblin community? Or is he more worldly? Tell us what you think.
Aldla is a continent on our world named Oxapudok. And Oxapudok has 7 moons. And also 5 continents. There is a continent at each pole and 3 along the equator. Aldla is one that is along the equator. So, now we have a map of just Aldla. Our scale shows distances in how many days it would take to walk. We think that a person might be expected to walk about 3 kilometers per hour or 2 miles per hour. And a day of walking would be 10 hours, just to keep the math easier. So a day's walk would be about 30 kilometers or 20 miles, if that helps you think about these things. For scale, we have some paths and, On this map each dot on path represents 2 days travel on foot. And we have some towns. That means that walking from the town of Wamspekel to the town of Vik will take about 26 dots or 52 days. That's a long time to walk between towns. And that's something we need to think about for the stories that make up our world. We really need more communities along the paths. Well, that is something that we have planned since the beginning. We deliberately leave out lots of the detail in our stories. Too much detail makes a story tedious, but mostly, before we write many of the stories, we don't know what the story might need. Maybe parts of the journey shouldn't have very many towns for some reason. Depending on how the stories turn out, we will want some latitude and tolerances and general room to play with things. Anyway, today we want to fill out the map around Gurulad. Now our map is showing dots that are 1 day's walk apart. We aren't being very exact about where the paths go, or whether the path is a good road or just a trail. Mostly we just want some sense of scale. Just how far apart are these towns to someone who lives in them? We haven't had very much story about the area, so we have a lot of space to fill. So we still want to leave lots of room for playing in the future, but it's still nice to have some local landmarks. Some towns will help to fill in our ideas of what this area has to offer. As Arl has said, a blank space gives us nothing to work with. So, we will add a few towns today, and maybe some ideas about each town. We should mention that, the icons such as the city of Gurulad aren't drawn to scale. The building drawings are 2 dots or, 2 days walk to get from one edge of the city to the opposite edge. That would be 30 kilometers or 20 miles. No. Gurulad probably isn't that big. We will build some maps later to show more accurately what Gurulad is. Anyway, now, let's add a new town, along the path east of Gurulad. We can roll a d20 to give chaos its say in what our world is. Our first roll will be how many days walk our new town will be from Gurulad. A 5. Okay. So, our new community will be 5 days walk east of Gurulad. Let's see how big the town is. We will roll the d20 4 times and multiply the results together. Does that make sense? A 3 times 14 gives us 42. Then a 15 gives us 630. And lastly, another 14 gives us close to 9,000 people. Those were pretty big numbers and we got 9,000. Is this reasonable? The smallest population would be the very unlikely value of 1 person, if we rolled 4 ones and multiplied them together. So, if we rolled 4 20s together we would get 160,000. That would be the largest community that Chaos could offer. I think that's fair. Do you think that's fair? So what types of industry might support our town? Owl and Bunny helped me put together a quick list of industries that a town might have. We came up with 20 possibles, so it would make it easy for AD20. What sort of industries did we forget? I'm sure we forgot some stuff. Anyway, a city of this size will probably have 2 or more important industries. Let's pick 2 for now. Okay, well, our first roll was a 1. So the most important industry in our town involves horses. Are we into the Wild West? Or maybe we should think about the Mongol Empire of Genghis Khan? Or should we think some more about how a city can be very invested in raising and training horses? Okay then. Let's see what sort of secondary industry our new city might have. A 9. That's jewelry and precious metals. Well, that's cool, and hopefully horses and jewelry can trigger our imaginations. Well then, we need a name. We will just use a random name generator to pick one. And our new city's name is Urakpol. Well, that sounds like fun. Okay, now I will add some more towns and then get back to report what we have when they're done. Okay, if I am allowed to quote Bunny. Now it is later. So 3 days east of Urakpol is Stagwatch, with a population of 33,000. Okay. Another serious city. Stagwatch's main industry is Magi Tech and has jewelry as its secondary industry. So, for the jewelry thing, Stagwatch and Urakpol must be competitors and rivals. I wonder how that's going to work out. And okay. Our next town to the east is just 5 more days walk away is Scorchwick with a population of 5,000. Scorchwick's main industry is, okay. Our list doesn't have a number 11. Let's deal with that later and just roll again. Okay. Scorchwick's main industry is food processing. And later we can decide what kinds of food they produce. And let's just leave that for today. Does it give you any ideas for stories? Besides adding an 11th industry to our list, is there anything else we could make better? Thanks again for your suggestions. They do keep us going.